A major blow for Zapatero. Judge Calama rejects the request to annul the investigation as the former Prime Minister wanted and summons the President of Plus Ultra to appear as a person under investigation in September. Let's begin. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Ángel Pérez this Friday, July 24th. And pay attention because things are getting lively in the Plus Ultra case, also known as the Zapatero case. And pay attention because Judge Calama has dealt a major blow to Zapatero. He rejects the annulment of the investigation proceedings as requested by Zapatero's defense. And he has also agreed to summon the president of Plus Ultra and another executive of the company for the month of September. We have Judge Calama's rulings and we are going to share them on screen as we always do. But first, if you haven't done so already, remember to subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel with Miguel Ángel Pérez because we're on our way to 142,000 and we already have on screen this ruling that has just been issued by Judge Calama. From Judge Calama, the magistrate who is investigating the case, Plus Ultra, the Zapatero case. And we're going to go over what this order from Judge Calama says, which, as I said, shuts the door on Zapatero's attempt to try to annul the case. It says, Statement of Facts. On February 27, 26, an order was received from the investigating section of the Court of First Instance. Courtroom number 15 dated February 23, in which the transfer of jurisdiction over the separate branch of the case arising from its preliminary proceedings is agreed upon. In relation to these proceedings, which has been accepted by order dated March 3, 26. In other words, on February 27, the transfer of jurisdiction from Madrid Investigating Court number 15 was received, which was the one initially investigating the Plus Ultra case. And the court in this case, Judge Calama accepted that transfer of jurisdiction, which means that the judge, in this case, the judge from the Investigating Court number 15 of Madrid, wanted to keep the case in Madrid. In the National Court, Judge José Luis Calama accepted the case and retained the investigation. Second, through the court representative representing José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, a document dated June 25 was submitted, requesting, I quote, let the motion to nullify the proceedings be considered as initiated in accordance with what is established by law, so that after the appropriate processing and in accordance with what is stated in this document, a ruling be issued ordering, first, to declare a violation of the fundamental right to the judge pre-assigned by law, to a fair trial with all guarantees to effective judicial protection without being left defenseless, and to the presumption of innocence from Zapatero. Exclusion from proceedings of all evidence obtained by the Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office and any evidence derived from it, which includes the evidence obtained in all the searches and seizures ordered by the investigating court, specifically by Investigating Court number 15 of Madrid, and in this proceeding, and also the general nullity of the proceedings and in particular of the 12 decisions mentioned in this document. That is, Zapatero's defense filed a document last June 25, that is, a month ago, in which it was stated that the judge assigned by law who had to investigate this case was Judge Esperanza Collazos from Investigating Court number 15 of Madrid, not the judge from the National Court, José Luis Calama, and for that reason they requested that the entire investigation be annulled, all the evidence provided in the searches by the Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, etc. In other words, the nullity of the case. You know Zapatero, since he sees it as so complicated, instead of hiring a criminal lawyer to fight and try to counter the overwhelming evidence against him, he tries to hire the lawyer Victor Moreno Catena to attempt a defense with this procedural law specialist who aims to get the case dismissed. That's his strategy. In other words, since we'll lose the match on the field, let's try to win in the office by getting the investigation cancelled. And this decision by Judge Calama is therefore a blow because it shuts the door on Zapatero's attempt to have the case annulled. He puts it in these terms, says Judge Calama, when the decision has been formally notified. As happens with the order dated May 18th that authorizes the entry and search of the promoter's office, and the order dated June 12th which orders the creation of a separate branch of the case. The legal system requires that any violation of fundamental rights be addressed through the established legal remedies. The notification opens the ordinary appeal process and excludes the possibility of resorting to a nullity motion, which cannot become an alternative mechanism to review notified and appealable investigative decisions. That is to say, they should have immediately appealed the order, but they did not. In these cases, the finality of the decision only occurs after the deadline for the corresponding appeal has passed and the incident is barred. Because the party did have a real opportunity to raise the violation before the decision became final. This is clearly the case here. Regarding the order authorizing the entry and search of the applicant's office, which was personally served on him prior to its execution. Therefore, regarding those decisions, their nullity should have been asserted by filing, in due time and form, the appeals expressly provided for against them. This does not rule out the possibility that if earlier decisions those rulings stem from were void, they too could be void as a result. Judge Calama went on to say that this 20-day period is a strict deadline which does not allow for extension or broad interpretation, and it begins to run from the moment the affected party was able to sufficiently know the content and scope of the measure they are challenging during the investigation phase. This moment coincides with the actual access to the proceedings or rulings that affect the fundamental right being invoked. From that moment on, the party has a fixed period to file the motion, and its start cannot be postponed to later stages of the investigation, nor to values or subjective assessments regarding the advisability of filing it. In other words, he had a strict deadline to appeal the orders for entry and search in the new investigation taken on by Judge Calama, etc. And they did not file their motion for annulment within those deadlines, and since they didn't file it then, well, now it's out of time, it's past the deadline. So this attempt by Zapatero's defense to annul the investigation is worthless. And that's what Judge Calama says, who goes on to say that the consequence of filing the motion after that deadline is its inadmissibility. The untimeliness deprives the judicial body of the authority to examine the substance of the alleged violation, since the motion cannot serve as a mechanism to challenge investigative decisions that should have been appealed in due time using the appropriate legal remedies. The finality of the decision and the legal certainty that comes with it prevent any review when the party has allowed the legal deadline to pass without filing the motion, even if the alleged violation concerns fundamental rights. Article 241 of the Organic Law of the Judiciary does not empower the court to relax the calculation or to consider objective circumstances. Late submission leads to automatic inadmissibility and makes it impossible to roll back the proceedings. I mean, is that clear or not? Here, the operative section. The motion for annulment of proceedings filed by former Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero in his brief is declared inadmissible. Date June 25, 2026. So Palazzo, a firm rejection of that attempt, and I, along with a few others from Zapatero's defense, tried to annul the investigation. But let's continue with more information because, as I mentioned, we've also learned about another order from Judge Calama, which we also have here on the screen so you can follow along. Let's expand on this. And it's the summons of two other people beginning in September. Specifically, Judge Calama, on July 24, 2026 says, given the status of the proceedings, it is ordered that statements be taken from the following persons under investigation. Julio Martinez Sola, not to be confused with Julito. This Julio Martinez Sola is the president of Plus Ultra, okay? And he is summoned on September 7. By the way, on my birthday at 9 in the morning, and the next day, September 8, the CEO of Plus Ultra, Roberto Rosselli. Also, at 9 in the morning, Judge Calama's order says that the persons under investigation will appear assisted by their respective defense attorneys. Both statements will be held in the multipurpose room on the 6th floor of this courthouse, with the public prosecutor's office and other parties summoned for the specified day and time. By means of the notification of this resolution, the legal representatives of the persons under investigation will be responsible for their appearance on the indicated days and times unless a written statement is submitted within 3 business days. And these are the two pieces of information we have just reviewed on medidas cautelares. The judge of the National Court investigating the Plus Ultra case, José Luis Calama, shuts the door on the former Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, in his attempt to annul the investigation of the Plus Ultra case. The judge considers that the motion for annulment of proceedings filed by José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero was submitted after the established deadline. And therefore Zapatero's attempt to annul all the evidence gathered in the searches ordered by Judge Calama is not admitted and is rejected. Likewise, the investigating judge also agrees to summon them for questioning as persons under investigation. Already set for September 7 and 8, the president of the company Plus Ultra, Julio Martinez Sola, who will appear on the 7th, and the CEO of Plus Ultra, Roberto Rosell Rosselli, the following day, on September 8. Therefore, the investigation of the Plus Ultra case will resume in this way, with statements starting on September 7 and 8. As you can see, the investigation of the Plus Ultra case, the Zapatero case, is heating up, and any updates you'll have here on Medidas Cautelares. That's all for this edition of Medidas Cautelares. I hope you liked all the information, as always, with official filings straight from the source. All this information that you won't find on other channels or in other media outlets. Here you have the documents, the rulings, the orders firsthand. Leave me your opinions. Thank you for continuing to subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel with Miguel Angel Perez. Even though many of you are already on vacation, you still keep watching these videos because you like to stay informed, you like to be updated every day about what's happening, because things are really exciting right now. You can also become members, like the chosen ones for less than €4 a month, or like the supreme ones for less than €8 a month. You can also make contributions via Vision at 627556370, 627556370, 627556370. Key, as I always say, is ensuring everyone gets this information, because information is power. See you soon.